got ideas, and so I got ideas, right? I got ideas about the metaverse, and it's really exciting stuff. And I wanted to put it together in a talk, and really see what other people's opinions are about it as well. So the agenda today, we talk about what the metaverse is, what augmented reality is, what exactly mixed reality is, just a little bit about that, and talk about unique issues that we see currently with the metaverse and blockchain, as well as possible solutions, and then maybe some question and answers. If you do have some questions, please let me know. I'm going to tell you right now, I probably don't have all the answers, so I'll probably write it down and probably get back to you, or maybe not. I don't know. But it'll be a good time. All right, so Metaverse. Metaverse is all Mark Zuckerberg created. No, it's really not. So Metaverse is, I don't know, it's like the hotness right now. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's like, oh, the Metaverse, everything's changing in the Metaverse, and everything with NFTs, and everything with cryptocurrency. But if you've played online gaming before, you've been in the Metaverse already. I'm big into World of Warcraft. Back in the day, I still play Final Fantasy, although my wife doesn't allow me to all the time. And I'm confessing that to everybody now. Anyways, so you got different kinds of metaverses. We talked about World of Warcraft. We talked about Final Fantasy. You have Decentraland. You have Sandbox. You got a few other things. I've got music going back there. So why should I care about this? Why should you care about this? As the metaverse is gaining momentum with companies, we're seeing more and more companies using the metaverse. It's going to be more complex, and it's going to pose unique challenges for us in the industry. Would you agree? We'll get to it. Blockchain technology is happening. We need to learn its impact to our users and organizations. And it presents an opportunity to think about the possibilities or rehashing of old ones of solutions to a new environment. Sorry, I gotta stop this music because I'm jamming over here, and it's really sorry, guys. So let's talk about what the metaverse is. In futurism and science fiction, the metaverse is a hypothetical iteration of the internet. I'm not going to read it, but this is what the metaverse is. Augmented reality. Who here has played Pokemon Go? Raise your hand. This is augmented reality, right? It's not real, but you find a Pikachu somewhere, you're searching around. That's augmented reality. And mixed reality, which is actually really cool. It's a blend of the physical and digital worlds, where you're unlocking natural and intuitive 3D human-computer and environmental interactions. One of the clients that I went to is a medical university, and they actually, to save money with not using cadavers, they use mixed reality in order to dissect things. And it's really interesting because you're able to look at somebody's heart and zoom in, zoom out. You're able to switch things around, look at specific muscles. Really interesting stuff. So let's talk about some of the issues that we see. These are oldies but goodies. Right? The first one is identity theft. Right? When you're in the metaverse, augmented reality, the metaverse, you can steal somebody's identity. Just username and password. Loss of digital assets, your avatar. Somebody stole my World of Warcraft avatar and then sent all the gold to China. I'm just kidding. That didn't really happen, but it can happen. Social relationships can screw up your digital life. All right? Impersonation attack. You have the rock, and this is me, the pebble. I know, I make those myself. So this attack occurs when the attacker pretends to be authorized user. I do not pretend like I'm the rock at all, but impersonation attack, this is what it is. Hackers can also do that. Data tampering, pretty self-explanatory. Somebody just changes information. For instance, if somebody had access to a central database with, I don't know, social security numbers or credit card information, they can just change it to give a denial of service to whoever is trying to make a legitimate transaction. And then we've got some new stuff, which is really interesting to me. Now we're learning how to protect information in a ternary world, as they would say, in the physical, digital, and human world. So I'll just read this one. Ternary, 3 worlds represent the physical, digital, and human worlds. All 3 are integrated into the metaverse, allowing an attacker to track users and determine their positions. In the real world, hackers may also track users through compromised headsets and other wearable devices. The next one I have here is uncontrolled data collection. It was interesting that as I was talking about what I was going to talk about today, we were talking about the Oculus and how when you sign the agreement that you basically authorize them to get your, I don't want to say biometric data, but your heuristics. So it knows exactly, you can create a baseline based off of your avatar and how you use the device itself. So if you look at uncontrolled data collection, can you just imagine like when you get facial expressions, hand-eye movement, speech, biometric features, it presents a huge opportunity for attackers to just steal your identity. And we're going to get into my crazy ideas here in a minute. Digital footprint, threats to your digital footprints, your habits, activities, your avatars. To reflect the end user in your real world. Attackers can use these footprints to exploit real world users. Users can also be stalked and without their knowledge, thanks to the wide third person view. This was really interesting to me because I've never heard this one before, but a simple attack uses a single node to operate many active fake identities simultaneously with a peer-to-peer network. So what in the world does that mean? I had to kind of look this up. So if you think about it, the way that I thought about this was like if we have like has anybody heard of like a decentralized autonomous organization? You know, like I see yes and I see no. So just think about a group of people that have the same common idea, but they govern themselves. And the way that they govern themselves is by voting. And the way that you get votes is if you, I don't know, invest money or invest time, you get more votes, right? So just imagine Wilson is one user, and then I say, you know what, I'm just going to replicate myself. I'm going to have Wilson 1, Wilson 2, Wilson 3, Wilson 4. And then I'm going to create more votes for myself. And let's just say I have a $1 million project, or the organization has a $1 million project, and I'm the benefactor of that project. I can vote, I can have that organization vote to take on that project. Does that make sense? So this would be an example of a simple. Okay. All right, here we go. My point of view. Short term, we're going to have identification issues. We're going to have authentication issues. We're going to have to work with people for user education with the new technology. As far as the long term is concerned, if we want to utilize this new technology to benefit everybody, we're going to have to sacrifice security for the speed of enterprise business adoption. And then as corporations continue to improve and get their technology up to par with all of these new technologies, the small businesses are going to lag behind, which they're already doing. So a big companies right now are investing in Metaverse digital assets. And a lot of small companies just don't think of what that is. So as we adopt the Metaverse, as we adopt augmented reality and mixed reality, the small businesses need to keep up in order to be competitive. So the way that I look at, the way that people normally look at communications is we have senders, we have a communication network, and then we have recipients. And when we look at the way that businesses work, we have users, and then we have businesses. And we talk about ternary worlds, where we have the physical world, the digital world, and the human world. All are symbiotic with each other in order to make commerce. So from a business standpoint, it's pretty easy. When you look at a business, they can say, hey, I just want to hang out in Decentraland and I want to hang out in Meta. Right? This is where I'm going to invest my money in order to do business. And with that, it gets a little bit more complicated when you start thinking about the cryptocurrencies that are currently making transactions within those metaverses. But it's still easier for businesses because they can just say, I'm just going to hang out with Decentraland and I'm just going to use Meta. And I'm just going to hang out in this Metaverse 1 and 2 and they use Ethereum and Dogecoin. Right? But for a user, it's much more complicated. Right? If you look at a user, you have the digital, you have the human, you have the physical aspects. Maybe today, they're World of Warcraft. They're using a banking credit card. Decentraland, they have a crypto wallet. They're on Horizon Worlds with their VR headset because Meta owns Oculus. And every kind of transaction you want to do is with a banking credit card. And then you have the businesses that only do credit card work, right? So this is present day how it is now. And what I anticipate is later on that, well, the Warcraft will still exist. You can still use the bank credit card. Decentraland and Horizon Worlds will use their crypto wallets. Businesses will start moving away from banking credit cards and start moving into crypto wallets. And it's going to be really interesting to see how that's all going to work. And I'm really trying to figure out how in the world is this going to work. So, does that make sense? Am I talking crazy? Do I need to slow down? Because I get really excited about this stuff. All right, so fundamental challenges that we are facing. Users are able to access multiple environments with multiple devices and make transactions. Again, showing that there's identity, authentication, access issues, as well as authorization and permission issues. All right. How do we fix this? Short-term solutions. I hate to say it, security awareness training. Right? We need people to understand basic cybersecurity in the metaverse, in augmented reality, in mixed reality. We need to tell people, hey, don't click on that. That's probably not going to be good for you. And it seems so simple, but people still screw it up. Understanding the blockchain. It's complicated for a lot of people. We still need to educate the user base on what blockchain is, as well as some basic safety or best practices when handling cryptocurrency, such as having a cold, warm, and hot crypto wallet storage. So these are my crazy rules about securing the new technology reality. Unique identity should be established and attributed for each user. Why? Because in cybersecurity, if we want to know that somebody did something wrong, we have to attribute it to somebody. The devices should be registered for each user/identity. If we could track the user, we should be able to know what devices that they use at all times. Identity baseline should be established for each user and identity. What we had talked about, like with behavioral, like retinal scans, behaviors as far as movement, hand-eye movement, the way that you walk, the way that you talk, virtuality. You should be able to develop a baseline in order to identify the person that belong to that baseline, as well as the registered device, that's all together, right? Authentication should be mandatory for user identity, user/identity, device, and entity. Access should be limited to groups, roles assigned to users/identity. Authorization should be limited to groups/roles assigned to users/identity. Is this crazy talk? It's crazy talk. But what it really sounds like, and I have to make this point real quick. What it really sounds like is like we need to make it a corporate network, right? But the reality is it's never going to be like that. Yes, ma'am.
I'm just curious about, we have all this digital money thing around here. What happens when the person dies? How is anyone going to do that?
So the question was, if somebody dies and they have like a digital wallet, what happens to all that money? If they didn't pass the 12-word passphrase to whoever, that money is just kind of like in the ether. Who gets it? It doesn't belong to the person who died. It didn't pass to anybody. Say that again.
It would be a good application for blockchain for say if I die.
Yeah, maybe put it in there. It would be a great application for that. Okay, so the solution is to create an omniverse, right? Gollum, one ring to rule them all, one omniverse to rule them all. But the reality is not is that it's never going to be like that. And the issue is because privacy, right? You don't want to be able, if you can identify people, like we're going to have issues with EU, with the GDPR. Like how are we going to make sure that people can remove the information that they have given a specific company after a while? There's just a lot of transaction, a lot of data complexity, and it's just going to be very difficult. However, in my world, that doesn't matter. I'm just going to still try to figure out how we can do this. And so this is how we're going to do this, right? So how do we move forward with new technology when we cannot secure it like a corporation would with the data? We have to challenge the system, meaning the laws or whatever system is holding us back, restraining us from improving ourselves. And this is the kind of way that I think. So we challenge the system and we propose solutions. So without further ado, my crazy solutions. All right, first, we get decentralized identity management system. How do we ensure that an individual says who they say they are across multiple environments? And the way that I think about this is the way we look at maybe domains and they trust each other, but we have an identity management solution provider being able to allow a user to access Metaverse 1 and Metaverse 2, but also if that user wanted to access Metaverse 3, there's a trust with another identity management solution provider so they can go across all three metaverses. Make sense? Now the issue here that I have is who are these? Are these corporations or are these countries? Right? Is this Europe? Is Europe going to control their people's data? I don't know. But it would work, right? If there was a trust between countries or maybe trust between corporations. But that's just, again, my crazy idea. 2, device management solutions, right? Like I said before, if you have a user and it has to be attributed if you have an individual and you have multiple users across multiple metaverses, and that user has a specific device that they use or devices, then they should be attributed to that user, right? And those users should be, those devices should be registered to that user through a device management provider. And those device management providers should have a trust with another device management provider, so to speak, but it's not controlled. Yes?
Have you managed shared devices?
That's a good question that I don't have the answer to, but I'm trying to figure it out.
User to the device, and they associate take routes to the user using the same solution.
So
it's the use of logging to the device. The device is associated temporarily with that user, and so that user doesn't use the using the same solution.
possibly. Yes.
So you say like physical token,
Like a
like physical token that would register.
okay. Anybody else have a? So again, crazy talk here. Everybody's seen the movies where like someone gets like an alien like loses their weapon, and the good guy grabs the weapon. They try to pull the trigger, and it doesn't work because it has some biometric signal that needs to connect with the weapon, and then they take off the guy's hand or the alien's hand, and they start pulling the trigger. Crazy talk. Crazy talk. I'm telling you, this could happen, right? It could happen. All right, next. Decentralized biometric heuristic attribution management. Can you say that 5 times fast? How do we ensure that an individual's physical, ID factors, and behavior belong to the individual and ensure that it can access multiple environments? It's the same concept, right? If you have a registered baseline of how you use it, how you walk, how you talk, you should be able to attribute that to your identity. You should also be able to attribute that to the devices that are registered to you, whether it's shared. Make sense? All right. I didn't put the fourth one up there, but how about geographic location? You say who you are, register device, you move the way that you move, but you're not in the location that you're supposed to be in, right? Those would be like 4 factors of authenticate, or 4 factors to prove true in order to access what you need. So maybe this is the solution. We have all of these solution providers have some kind of trust with multiple metaverses. At the same time, is that you have these multiple solution providers able to show that you're trusted with using, by doing transactions both from a crypto wallet concern as well as your banking credit card. I don't know. All right. Crazy talk's over with. Yes, sir.
We don't put too much power into a single organization.
So that's a good question. My thoughts are, yeah, we would be relying on specific organizations to handle. I would say I want to say decentralized databases of identities, devices, and behaviors. But that gives, I don't know, it doesn't give like a true sense of decentralization when you can only attribute it to a specific set of providers. So the whole point of like blockchain and all that stuff is to have decentralized authority in order to make decisions. Like when I talk about these decentralized autonomous organizations, you want to be able to have more votes based on what you put into an organization. How is that going to work in cybersecurity? I have no clue, right? But from my point of view, is that as technology improves, we're going to be facing these kind of problems, right, on multiple levels. And my question to those of you who are in the industry is how do we address it? My question to you for all of those students is how are you going to address it, because this is your ugly baby, right? Yes.
Okay. Good talk, by the way. But first off, has Future Solution 1 already been proven out? It seems like things like Mastodon and stuff like that already have it, where you have like your centralized initial access, and they trust other Mastodon groups, and they can all talk to each other. So like a Twitter quantum thing that they have on there.
Yeah. So the question was, has the first solution been proven out? Mastodon has their own solution, that's great, but the first solution also included that you have decentralized identification management solution providers. So does Mastodon have a trust relationship with another organization?
I think that's how it works, right? There's like you sign into yours, like I let's say I'm on like the BSD network, right? And then they decide to trust other ones to allow that content as well. So then if like one of those becomes bad, and they just like, hey, you don't trust that anymore, you no longer use
Still
that.
would have to have somebody as an admin on the server.
Yeah, of course. There's definitely needs to be multiple
Right.
administrators of the
But you're still
identity.
putting the trust in that one person.
You are definitely. But my bigger question about the metaverse in general is, what companies are out there doing it right now? Who's like big in the industry?
Let's see, Victoria's Secret is one. I think Deutsche Bank is starting to put their stuff together as well. I know Citizens Bank has an initiative going on right now with the Metaverse.
From like an attacker's point of view, what does that open them up to? What are you seeing that open them up to? Is there like social engineering activity going on in that area? Is there like what other type of things can?
Yeah, so like what I was saying before is like you have the same old like tactics, impersonation, social engineering to grab credentials, grab information. So you have those kind of things that'll still continue to happen in the metaverse. What just makes it more interesting is that like right now it's like, I don't know, you have a username and password and you can get into somebody's account, right? Or two-factor authentication, but the second factor may just be the Oculus headset, right? So yeah, it's really interesting stuff. And it's like how do we, as information security professionals, how do we address this? It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. What else? Yes.
How do you address the box Spanish issue?
The box.
The box and Spanish. The non-player, he skips out everywhere. He expand. Most likely by some type of AI application. What is going to determine the barrier close to getting there?
Yeah.
It sounds like the agency are going to have to provide the information providers. I think that's where the breakdown comes down. Nigeria does not have the same type of identity, birth certificates, etc. as the US does. So if I create an ID in the middle of a very small African country, could I then join that environment and become somebody who I'm not created?
I don't know. And, I'm still researching. I'm still trying to figure out, how we can do this. Because there's a lot of things.
I play second line. We have a lot of boxes. And it becomes a problem. And if we don't control that now at the beginning, Metaverse is going to be one big marketing.
It's
not going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing. So that's why I'm trying to spend some time to crack that.
Very.
Yes.
So with all these things, it really seems to come down to kind of the convenience.
Hold on real quick, sir. Gentlemen, sorry. Yes.
It's kind of the convenience, security continuum, right? Before we try to do anything where we're tying things together, it's making it more convenient and more convenient. But inherently, you're decreasing.
That's why I was saying is that you sacrifice security for operational speed, which what we're always dealing with in information security in general. Like you're making risk exceptions all day, and you want to punch people in the throat all day. But it's going to be like that in the metaverse. And when we have all these different technologies, is that what are we going to sacrifice, right? And then to make it more complex is like for GRC professionals, how are we going to ensure that we're following regulations in order to make sure we don't get sued for millions of dollars. Cool. Just kind of leave you, chew on that a little bit. But if you have any questions, let me know. But I appreciate